I clap.
All right, I'm listening.
Okay, everything sound good? No weird hissing, buzzing?
Hold on, a little silence. It's good for the pod.
All right. Dead air. And it's actually recording on the thing.
Yeah.
I'm actually recording here.
Recording. I wish that had the monitor light, like the red light, that you would know that it was recording.
It would be nice.
Yeah, because, yeah.
How's it better?
I got a
you got the actual... The commercial.
Oh, you have the cherry lime. Nice. I was hoping for that this morning.
This is the best.
It's my favorite.
You told me, try this. It tastes like 7-Eleven cherry Slurpee.
Yeah.
100%.
And therefore childhood.
Yeah. We had a 7-Eleven down the street from us, so that was where you go. Back then, it was not even $1 to get a large. Like it was like 89 cents, maybe.
And when you say down the street, I'm going to provide greater clarity. The street that we lived on was 3 blocks long, and it was at the front of the street, 1 over. So it was 3 up, 1 over. So we were 4 blocks from a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
We went there often.
Yeah, very often. Quick bike rides.
They actually carried comic books, so we bought comics we weren't subscribed to there. They had candy, of course, and those pies, those little crappy pies.
On theme with today's topic of
quite.
They made the Ninja Turtle.
They made the Ninja Turtle, during Turtlemania, which we might get to later today.
Yeah, spoilers.
Put that one there.
And then later, when we were in high school and I had a car, we would stop there and do the communal nachos because it was like $2. So if enough of us just chipped in like a quarter, or
we could split an nacho.
Yeah, just load it up with cheese and chili, and just
try to be equitable with your chip distribution.
That 7-Eleven played a large part in the embiggening of our frames.
I'm not saying we were guaranteed to be skinny if we didn't have walking distance 7-Eleven, a walking distance Papa John's, a walking distance Wendy's.
There was a Pizza Hut too. It was Pizza Hut and Papa John's on either end.
That's true.
Of our street.
It was the war of the pizza joints with our street dividing it. Pizza Hut had the dominance for the longest, and this is also on theme. Pizza's on theme.
It is on theme.
All on theme.
I went to that Pizza Hut. So we went to a private school in Burtonsville, Silver Spring, but it was only like 20 minutes from Laurel.
There was a nice little back way.
But for the yearbooks, when you get into, I guess, 6th grade or 5th grade, you have to try and go get sponsors for it.
Okay.
So they task you, go to a place, say, hey, are you willing to advertise in our yearbook? It's like $100 or something, not a massive amount.
Right.
But I actually went to that Pizza Hut Express. It was not a dine-in.
Right.
It was just
it was to carry out delivery only.
And got them to sponsor a yearbook for a school that wasn't even in their zip code of delivery. So, but I think it was just because I was a kid. And
like they have an advertising budget and they are in the community.
And then and as an adult now, I think that guy couldn't have been 27 or younger. Somewhere between 25 and 30.
Yeah.
And as a kid, it's like, wow, this is an adult. I'm going to a serious business to ask a serious question from a serious person. And this guy probably, look, I don't want to bother adjusting for inflation. Let's just say he was above minimum wage, below living wage.
Right.
And it's like, sir, can I have $100?
$100 from the business that you manage?
And he did it.
Maybe franchise owner. Maybe he's doing better than you think.
You never know.
You never know.
You actually never know. But it's just a silly thing.
Yeah. But the cherry lime tastes exactly like red Slurpee.
So good.
And it's delicious. And our Wawa, which is probably just about equidistant from our current houses, used to have a lineup of Celsius flavors in that format. Now they have 2. They have blue raspberry and they have the dragon fruit, which we've talked about, which is a color, not a flavor.
I have not tried it yet.
I have no interest in spending money on. And pink water.
I get a solo, but again, I ordered the 12 packs from Amazon because I'm a cheapskate.
Right.
But I maybe I'll go there tomorrow. Not today. I'm not leaving my house today. I don't have a schmiel schmerry schmermit.
Some people in this room might be schmenfield schmerry.
So it's Flag Day as we're filming, but it's also the Stephen King protest.
Yeah.
And
it's the birthday of the Army. The 250th birthday
of the president.
And apparently that's the cause to have social unrest about tyranny for a elected official who won the popular vote, the Electoral College in a landslide, and whose policies are massively popular with the citizenry.
Yeah, it's tyranny.
No, Tim, it's not tyranny because no more kings.
Right. Don't we celebrate it on the 4th of July, the No More Kings?
Yeah, which I was doing the math, so it's the 250th birthday of the Army today, and a year and a month from now, it's the 250th birthday of the country. So the Army took about a year to make the country.
Wow, that's actually
That's pretty cool.
I'm pretty excited for next year's 4th of July.
Yeah.
Gonna have to go somewhere awesome.
I mean, my plan is Colonial Williamsburg. I know they're pulling out all the stops. I just have to get some reservations in once they open up because I know it's gonna be
it might already be too late.
I've been looking.
For RV.
Yeah, RV.
I would hotel it, and I'm probably already too late.
You might be. I don't know. I mean, they might. I don't know, but I think it's going to be epic down there. I know they're pulling out all the stops, so that's going to be fun.
So I was waiting for microphones versus keyboards to tell you. I've been maybe 3 weeks ago on Friday Night Tights on the Nerdrotic channel on YouTube. They were talking about AI, and it diverted to a conversation about the show from the mid 2000s, Person of Interest, which the entire
was that Caviezel?
Yes,
Jim
Caviezel.
And the dude from Lost, who was awesome.
Yeah. And people whose opinions I respect from that show were raving about how good it was, and that it was. It only gets better as the seasons go by. There are 5. They're all on Prime. I'm about 16 episodes into the first season, and it's very enjoyable.
Okay.
I mean, it's
that's cool.
It's a procedural.
Wife and I were looking for a new show, and that might check the box.
It's not horribly violent, it
was network.
Yeah, it was network
so
TV.
It's fine if it's network.
It's a hard PG, a soft PG-13.
Oh yeah, that's totally
in
the wheelhouse.
But it's a lot of fun because every episode. The first episode is going to give you the conceit for the show, and so it's episode of the week with an overarching plot behind it. You could, in theory, I assume, as far as I am right now, miss an episode and still be fine because it kind of because the overarching plot isn't like a Lost style plot where you have to know every detail. It's more like people trying to figure out who's who and what's what.
Yeah.
But it's highly enjoyable. It's all 5 seasons on Prime. There's also a British version. I don't know if it's good, but it's also on Prime.
Did it start as British and then get moved over
US
here?
first.
Okay, interesting. That's not the normal
way. It was
way.
actually British guys talking about the US version, not the British version. So,
interesting.
So on Friday Night Tights. So it's like, okay, I like these guys because they hate all the stuff I hate and like about 70% of what I like. So I don't blindly follow them, but I respect their opinions. What is behind me? What are you looking at?
Well, because of what we're talking about, I can't believe you left the classic Orokusaki figure on your...
I think he's missing an arm.
He's missing most of an arm.
Hamato Yoshi might have sliced it off.
Yes, he might have. Roll credits.
I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
So, while we're talking about the anniversary of our country, our army, all that good stuff, and television, did you ever watch Turn, Washington Spies?
Oh, I watched the first episode and enjoyed it, and many years ago, every season went on sale, all 4 for $5 a season on Vudu, and I have them. I just haven't watched them.
Dude, it's great. It's a great show.
Yeah, it's just one of the things. I think Lena and I watched it. And we both liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard PG-13. Like it's got some rough moments because of the brutality of war. But
you mean everything wasn't exactly like it is now, and we should judge history based on modern standards, not on how things were back then?
Yes. No. Yes.
No. Wait. What you're not saying is we shouldn't not judge them based on.
I'm never not saying that we shouldn't not judge the things with the standards of today against yesterday, not necessarily for then.
You wouldn't not do that.
I never wouldn't not always do that.
Got it. Yeah,
good.
But I did enjoy it, and did you have anything to say about it?
No, it's just you were talking about person of interest, and
you thought of a show of interest.
I thought of a show, and we were rolling the credits, so I could gather my thoughts to be okay, you should watch that.
We have a little pulley system to roll those credits by.
Right.
We're analog.
Yeah,
analog men in a digital world.
Yeah. Oh, we're so cool. Sorry, I just smelled my own fart. It was wonderful.
We should be wearing scarves
What type?
And like,
oh, you made a comment about me wearing scarves the other day, and I fired back like 5 different types of scarves.
I used whose name was it? I used a name for something, and it was also the name of a classical pianist, a not totally common name.
Oh, Debussy, I think. No, Cloud, yeah.
Oh,
Cloud.
Oh,
Debussy.
yeah. So there's Claude. Yeah. Claude is an AI software thing that a lot of people I know are raving about.
It's also the first name of the composer Debussy, the first name of the painter Monet, and I went.
Yeah, you just went in that direction, and then I said...
At least I think it's the first name of Debussy. I could be wrong.
I told you to take off your scarf and get back to work, and then you were saying...
which scarf? This one.
Yeah, your kerchief, your...
Café.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know.
I see it written down.
I see it all the time.
Cafifi?
Cafe. That's what he was trying to say on Twitter. All these years.
There was a tweet not long ago saying, has anyone figured it out yet? And I think it was from DJT himself.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure it was still a late night typo, but
yeah, I don't care. It still annoys people and therefore amuses me.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Is it something? I mean, everything's something.
Everything's something. Nothing's nothing.
That's true. Well,
nothing's nothing.
Okay, yeah.
So I have a coworker. Whenever we would be looking for, I'm not on the same team as him anymore. But when we were trying to find something, he would always say, "It's got to be somewhere," and I'm like. Correct. The alternative is literally impossible for it to be nowhere.
It's definitely a temperature outside.
Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm helpful. See how I'm helping?
I can't not see because I have sight.
Do you have problems with people?
We can start there. Yeah.
Let's
start. I have problems with people.
George is getting upset. Oh, yes. That's what I should have said. You know, we're living in a society.
So, gosh, I know I've talked to you about this before, and I don't think I've done it on the podcast, and I can pivot if I have.
Okay. I always have a problem if we come up empty.
So, great. So we'll see how this goes. So, what are you doing later?
What am I doing later? Yeah. Probably going to sit around and watch Person of Interest.
Cool.
Maybe have some lunch.
You want to hang out?
No.
For the purposes of the example, do you want to hang out?
Yes, I would love to hang out with you.
Okay, cool. So me, Jeff, Todd, and Bill will be over at 5.
You have just invited people over to my house.
Yeah. So what I have done is asked you to spend time with me and not told you 30 other people are going to be there.
You did not do that. You failed to do that until I had already agreed.
Until you'd already committed, and now you're the jerk if you cancel.
So I'm hosting. I guess I have to provide food and entertainment.
That's a bit of a stretch. Okay. It's more the I made a plan with you without informing you that others were involved. That's my problem with people.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. So I have a couple friends who do this. I don't know if they watch the podcast, and I don't know if I've complained directly to your face, Jason, that you do this too much.
Name drops.
I'm just saying, if you watch the podcast,
that's all right. He's a thick-skinned guy and a good dude.
I mean, he's a great dude, and his skin is so thick it's just callous to bone. So he will take this as lightheartedly as it's meant. There have been times where he's like, "Hey, why don't you and Holly come out? We're doing this. Like, oh, that'd be great." I get there and it's like 10 couples, and I'm like, "Oh, I know 3 of the couples. I like 2 of the couples, and I committed to hang out with one of them."
Oof.
So. Yeah, I over-explain all invitations, list the invitees, because I have this theory, it's crazy, I have this theory that not all of my friends like all of my friends.
What?
Or not all of my family like all of my friends, or not all of my family like all my family, or not all however you want to
any configuration. Yeah.
It is just this running theory that maybe, just maybe, the relationship I have with this person applies to this person, not that person.
Yeah.
So, I don't particularly enjoy being blindsided by the addition of 1 to infinite other people that I didn't know in advance. And, so it's gotten to the point now where I have to be the jerk.
Yeah.
Where I have to, when invited by certain people, say, "Hey, who'd you invite?" And that immediately is just I don't like some of your friends.
So you pause. Yeah. When we used to listen to Adam Carolla's podcast, and he made the point that if people always ask you the same question every time,
It doesn't say anything about the questioner.
No.
It says something about you.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because I was just thinking, imagine you or I doing that with our particular neuroses. I couldn't do that to someone. If I was in that situation, hey, you want to come do something, and then Bill, Frank, and Todd want to also, I got, hey, do you care if these guys come?
I would immediately have to, if you had already agreed, I would immediately be like, oh, hey, these other people heard and want to join. Do you want an out?
Right.
Or do you want to still go?
Yep.
Like, I see the thing
or
is,
I can tell them no because we already made a plan.
So I'm overly neurotic about a lot of that stuff, but I'm also like utterly devoid of personal hurt about that sort of stuff.
Right.
So I can be excluded for the greater good or whatever. Like, it's not
actually in most cases. Please excuse me for the greater good,
unless it's like a one-on-one thing. Like, it just exclude me. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I'm old and grumpy. I like individuals. I don't necessarily like groups.
Right. That old joke for, I guess it was what's his face, the funny comedian. They're all funny, right? But
the funny comedian.
Okay. Because I'm trying to get my brain
Nate
there.
Bargatze?
No, the one who did all the drugs and then got clean.
Oh, Mulaney.
Yeah, John Mulaney. Thank you. I just couldn't get there when he was saying when you get to a certain age, like the best drug is canceled plans.
Canceled plans is the best drug.
It's like, he's like, as if he had done heroin. Just
yep. No, I'm right there. Like,
it's like all of a sudden, it's Friday night and I can just get in my PJs and watch TV. Let's go.
I had plans last night that, like, I had a day yesterday that just got under my skin. I was not feeling.
You were a little cranky when we were gaming together.
Well, I was a little,
just a
smidge, yeah. So, a couple days prior, my son had twisted his ankle and is still kind of limping. And I mean, it's a twisted ankle. It takes a week or two to really turn the corner on that. And he was like, "Dad, I don't really want to go." And he's young enough that we'd be gone for too long to leave him completely, especially while limping and all that. And so I was like, okay, one of the parents has to stay behind. So, and I was just like, I just felt this stress evaporate because while everyone who I was going to see are people I love, I didn't have to be on.
Right.
I could just, like, Andrew and I watched a movie.
That's brilliant. Yeah, the day had conspired against you already, so.
Right. So I got a stay of execution. And I got to just spend time with my boy, who I love. And then after the movie, he wanted to watch some WWE. That's not really my thing. So he watched that, and I just watched some Clarkson's Farm reruns.
Yep.
And it felt great.
Yeah. I have the last two to go on my complete rewatch from start to finish.
Yeah. But this goes to the greater, kind of the underlying theme of problems with people. It's mostly our neurosis.
It is.
Almost exclusively. Like, most of the people who do the thing aren't monsters. No. I will argue probably the hill I'll die on is the cologne and perfume people. Those people are monsters.
Yeah.
Because that's...
Sorry, I was trying to keep a straight face.
Because that is untoward. It is not toward. Everything else, it's mostly just the fact that I'm way too neurotic. And I was talking to a coworker of mine about it yesterday, about some of the work stuff I've been complaining to you about. And I was just like, they're going to sleep so much better than me. Like, I'm not going to be rewarded or punished for how this goes down because the problems that are happening are they impact what I do, but they're not my fault.
Right.
And I could just stop caring, except I can't. Yeah. Because I have to do my job well.
Yeah, I know.
I'm neurotic. I have to do my job well.
I know what you mean. There was a problem that had come up with one of our systems, and I was thinking, okay, I recently had to make these changes. The probability of that causing this problem or relating to this problem is so minute, I don't even want to talk about it.
Right.
But because... Indy's
falling.
Because it was within the realm of probability, even if it was 0.01%, I was falling asleep one night and then just eyes shoot open. Like, am I responsible? And stupid things like that.
You have a salary. You're not paid by the hour. I have a salary. I'm not paid by the hour. I had been off work for 3 hours at home, and I logged back in to check my email about this before going to bed because I wanted to see if any progress. Because I work an earlier shift, so I wanted to see if anyone who worked the later shift sent off that last minute email letting me know, hey, we're good to go on Monday. Of course not. And we were supposed to be good to go weeks ago.
Yeah.
The clock's ticking.
Don't you hate missing dead or just coming right up against it when you pad out your schedule?
Dude, I
you know?
and I work with excellent people who do excellent on my immediate team. Let's not talk about we're drifting away from my problem with people into other problems with people.
Yeah,
but
they're all people.
They're all
most of them are
problems.
problems.
Most of them are a problem. What, didn't you say we need a real plague? That was about traffic.
Yeah.
Still true. So yeah, we have done like a ton of legwork so that when the switch flips, whatever that is, we have everything documented, like triaged, like we know where to do everything first, how to divide the labor. We are so over prepared, and now we're just like, do it.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Dependencies on other people is the worst too.
It's the worst.
Especially when you can't task them.
I can't. They're way above my level.
Yeah.
I cannot task them.
I hate that.
And they're like, oh, I was supposed to be in that meeting.
That's how they talk.
That I wouldn't know. They didn't attend the meeting.
You know how we need to do the outro stinger now for problems with people? Because I thought about this as I was showering before filming today.
Gross.
You're welcome. Is when Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park said they spent so much time wondering if they could. They never asked if they should.
Yeah. So I will then expound on the one that Jason did. Jason. That really got under my skin because it was to go to an event that overlapped my small business and his small business. I don't have one anymore, but I did, and there was an overlap. And he called and specifically invited me and my wife, and it was an hour from home. Ooh. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to go spend time with my buddy, and it's going to be like a double date. It's going to be really nice. We've done them occasionally. They're fun. So, like, I was, like, in a great mood on my way to an hour from my home to spend time with a couple that is friend. Like, you know, it is not the most common thing to find a couple that you and your wife get along with very well. They're wonderful when you do. So it's like, yeah, this is great. And we get there, and not only is the event itself, because it was a public event, not only is that pretty crowded, I expected that, but then he had invited everyone he knew. And then a collection of those people attended, but he knows a lot of people. And it was at least 10 total couples. At least. Jason.
His first son and my daughter were born on the same day, same
within
year.
hours of each other. And my daughter, same day, 2 years later.
Isn't that weird?
We stacked firstborns on that day.
We did, and it's close to lots of other birthdays within our families.
We tend to double and triple up in this family, it seems. Except for me. I'm just out there in February by myself, wanting to be left alone on my birthday. Like, oh, cool, it's mine, and no one needs me to do anything, and it's cold, and good.
I mean, President's Day gets around there somewhere sometimes.
Every once in a while, a federal holiday lands on my birthday because President's Day is a day of the week, not a numbered day. So every handful of years, I get a federal holiday, 3-day weekend on my birthday, which is great.
Not
That's all I need. Oh, that drives to. Oh gosh. Okay, so it's a minor caveat. It's still a problem with people.
Okay, we're still on problems.
With people. We're fathers.
We are.
It's Father's Day tomorrow as we're recording.
It is.
And I realized one of the problems I have is I don't want to be celebrated ever.
No.
Like Father's Day, birthday, etc.
I in general don't want to even be looked at, and yet.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's a really weird dichotomy to have a podcast when we actually don't really like being the focus, at least in a public setting. It's like the camera's fine. I know, it's weird. But I more strongly want to be not obligated. But when I'm asked, oh, hey, what do you want to do for Father's Day? I say nothing. When what I should say is specifically nothing.
Yeah.
Like I want to not do. Because that's where the communication is when I say, oh, nothing, it's, oh, he doesn't care. It's, no, I strongly care that I don't want to do anything.
I want a blank calendar. I don't want to see anyone or do anything. Maybe get some food, watch a movie.
Like, yeah, fire up the grill or order a pizza or whatever. But, yeah. Anyway, that's the problem with me. I don't communicate that my nothing means no things. Like, I want to do no things, not I don't care what we do.
Yeah. And for the overarching theme, just be specific.
Yes.
Be
Specificity in communication and planning in particular.
Yeah. Some of your friends are probably super chill. Some of them are neurotic.
Yeah. Some of them are like, What have you done?
And base one of my struggles is expectation versus reality, and when my expectation is X and it ends up being Y, I can't always pivot to Y.
I can't always and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, and when I can't, I just need to go.
Yeah,
I need to just get out of there.
Yep.
So
think about your neurotic loved ones,
right? And just because their neurosis is comical to you, because I'm sure it's hilarious to watch people squirm that aren't you. It's agony to be put into a neurosis spiral.
Yeah. We could dive down.
Oh my gosh, there's so much neurosis we could get into.
But on like the positive sides of our particular neuroses, it leads to things happening in a more organized way.
What time did we say we were going to start filming today?
We said 11. And
what time did I pull in your driveway?
You pulled in at 11.
11 on the dot?
On the dot.
On the money. On the dot.
On the money. And natural percussionists.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you know how long things take.
I know how long things take. I left my house at the exact right time to go to Wawa to get my non-Slurpee flavored beverage.
I wonder if Wawa is the thing that we only have here in this general region and it's not anywhere else.
I don't know.
We were talking about that with fast food burger joints a while back.
Yeah, and interestingly, since then, Buc-ee's has been in my timeline.
A lot.
Right?
A lot.
Yours too?
Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's a conspiracy.
Well, Buc-ee's. And then I saw Turtles was entering your timeline.
All of a sudden.
Like right when we decided we were going to talk about it, all of a sudden you're retweeting.
Well, because I scrolled over from my feed to my For You because my feed was boring.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's see what's in here.
The algorithm sends fun things to the For You.
It does, some pretty funny memes that are not shareable to anyone
for this
but
podcast.
you and Dave and a couple of guys, right? So, oof. Lots of Turtle stuff coming through. But, we'll talk about Turtles later.
Anyway,
this has been problems with people.
It has been, and we've been so busy thinking about whether or not we could. We didn't stop to think.
If we should.
You know, we're living in a society.
So I have another. I told you we should do a future segment called C+ or whatever. We are not, what do you call it, jack of all trades? Things in which we can do a good enough job to get by, but aren't experts, because we have lots of we have a wide array,
like parenting,
driving in the lines,
right?
No, but then I thought, no, we should call
accurately filing income tax.
But I was like, no, we should call it passing grade. And I have the idea for the intro. Okay. I'm just going to take the Tommy Boy D+ thing and do passing grade, maybe with one of the song things I wrote that we never used, or maybe with the graduation music. Is that the or is that
no? I've got the kazoo version of that in. Oh no, not that. That's the 20th Century Fox. Never mind. I think I have the kazoo version of that in the hopper for something.
I can find it. Yeah. It's just a quick Google search. But it's like, I think
passing grade. That's a good one.
Because another short segment if we want to pad out some time. If we need to
just showcase things that we did that are fine.
Yeah. Because we've done at some point we need to bring in stuff we've done in the past. We've talked about our band stuff.
Yeah, and I've been spending a lot of time making album art for bands that have not existed for dickety years.
Oh yeah, and the cassette's over my shoulder, so we can get those song names that I can't remember.
Oh sweet, yeah, get those and awesome.
Yeah, Nemesis Residing, I think, or just Nemesis is the second track. Because it just got into my head, but I could be wrong. It could be called something else, and those could just be and lyric from the song. I don't remember, but some Lemonade.
Remember one lyric super well.
Lemonade sure would taste sweet.
Sure taste sweet. Love you, Dave.
Love you, man.
Way to ruin a song.
Yeah.
I guess we have another segment. We do segments.
We do segments.
Did you take notes? Because all I did was watch.
I did not take notes because all I did was we're just going for it. It's time for Carbon Blobs from Sector 7G.
Who is it, Firebrand Smithers?
One of the Carbon Blobs from Sector 7G.
So this is the fourth episode of the first season of The Simpsons.
It is. I mean, it was something like There's No Place Like Home or
it's
something.
Called There's No Disgrace Like Home.
See, I was close.
You were very close.
It was in there.
Written by Al Jean and Mike Race?
We don't talk about race, Tim.
We don't talk
We're from
about
the 90s. We don't have to.
We don't have to because it was
it was solved.
This aired on January 28th of 1990. Where were you January 28th of 1990?
January 28th specifically of 1990?
Or just January of 1990?
I mean, I was probably in Laurel, Maryland in my parents' house.
Well, okay, fair enough. I'm trying to think where I was in life. I would have been 11.
I was 8. No, that was January. It was before my 8th birthday. I would have been 7.
Yeah, I would have been 10 because of my birthday. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Probably playing G.I. Joes or Legos and Nintendo.
Possibly playing Ninja Turtles.
Possibly. So that's not what we're talking about.
Yet.
We're talking about The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, and this is, so far, the best episode of the season.
It is. A couple of items of note. We get our first on-air appearance of Itchy and Scratchy.
We do. We also got White Smithers.
I was going to say Yellow Smithers.
Oh, Yellow Smithers, yes.
But we got Yellow Police Guy,
yes,
Lou. So
we're on duty, so no peanuts, just a beer.
Yeah, so probably the same problem with Smithers. The animators over in Korea didn't know what color palette to use, so they just made them
Well,
yellow.
apropos of the 1990s and Koreans, they're a little busy in LA again right now.
Fair point. And
Stop burning my country down!
and then also Barney had yellow hair versus his brown hair.
Versus brown, yeah.
And Moe's Tavern had not achieved its final look. It was
It was still a little smaller, rough and ready.
had the saloon doors from the westerns. But yeah, it was. This is one other tidbit. If we can find it, edit it in. If not, trust us. When they're electroshocking everyone in the therapy thing, that is what they put on the plane in Die Hard 2 when they're running low on fuel, and they say just put on some TV to keep the passengers busy so they don't worry about stuff. And the stewardess is like, works for me. And so we cut over to Holly, and Holly, not your wife, Holly, but Holly, Gennaro McLean, on the plane, and you see it playing. This is before you got your personal screen. Right. They had a screen at the front of
projector screen that you have to
section.
crane your neck to look at.
I never experienced that. I didn't get into air travel. When I did, there was no personal entertainment at all, or group entertainment.
No, I think I had my first flying experiences as a young adult involved like Game Boy Advance or maybe the DS.
Yeah, and these were. I think the very first commercial plane you and I ever took was a puddle jumper from our area in Maryland up to Buffalo, and then we.
And that was a prop plane. That wasn't even a jet.
It was a prop plane, and I was like, oh wow, that's
like they still make these.
Felt like Indiana Jones, you know?
Right. I was like, is there a red line going over the map right now? Anyway, we digress.
We have diverted.
So it starts off with Bart and Lisa fighting, and this is. It comes out of the gate with one of the best jokes in the season so far. So the kids are fighting, and Homer goes to break it up, and they're like, we're fighting about which one of us loves you more. And he's like, oh, go ahead. You love him more. No, you love him more.
So great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
The plot of
subverting expectations.
Right. Pouring the wine.
Yeah. Thank you.
We really need to just get a short clip of that.
We just need a lot of cuts of the Red Letter Media guys doing stuff.
What we need is a producer. So we can say Jamie put it up.
We need a Jamie.
Yeah,
but I imagine he's highly paid at this point.
He probably is, but there's probably a young and aspiring Jamie out there.
Future Jamie, come work for us for nothing.
And also be okay with being shamed constantly.
Constantly shamed. Like you need
various levels of verbal abuse.
Callous to bone, thick skin.
Yeah,
which is now a new saying for me that I coined about Jason.
Callous to bone, thick skin.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, so anyway, they're going to a company picnic.
At the Burns estate, which I think is the first time we see the Burns estate.
Probably.
Yeah.
So they
all the Jello molds that everyone brought.
Bring in the Jello molds, but they get there and quickly discover that they are not the best behaved family out there.
Arguably, the other superlative, they are the worst behaved family.
Indeed. And the thing, there's some funny bits like Marge getting a little drunk, sloshed on the line there, and
are you sure it's okay to leave these kids unsupervised? Oh yeah, turn the TV on. There we go.
And then
accurate. That's how we were raised.
And then the Bart and Lisa having to decide if they want to love or respect Homer, and like I'd choose respect.
I think that's fair.
But so they're all poorly behaved. All the other families are behaved quite well.
Right.
But it's interesting to me is that it's Homer that's bothered by this and not Marge. It's typically the mother who would make the call, hey, we need to...
Right, but Homer's just like, this is killing my chance of any advancement at work, any positive thoughts from the boss. So...
Yeah, but it was kind of another subversion of expectation, perhaps, to have the father in the family, and especially Homer, as we know him today, being more of the oaf, and Marge being the one with it all together. But he says, we're turning off the TV, we're going for a walk. They go around and see all of the other...
peeping Tom, all the neighbors.
Yeah.
Which is great. Oh, where's he going? He's probably going to go get his dad his pipe and slippers.
Get my
gun. Like, wow, they shot at the Simpsons, like... With a gun.
Did. So they get to their last window to peep through, and they're like, "Oh, what a dump!" Of course,
I crushed this guy's flower bed.
Of course, it's their house.
Yes.
But later on, Homer catches the commercial for I forget the doctor's name. I didn't write that down.
It was like Henry or Harry. Oh gosh.
Because he's only in a few episodes.
I think the character gets killed off.
I recall this happening as well.
But I was like, am I crossing the streams with Office Space?
Right. Because I mean, only a few have been, and we won't. I mean, Bleeding Gums, Murphy, Maude, but that's much later, like 10th season, 9th season.
And then I think they killed off the one of the guys from Moe's Tavern recently. I remember that making the news, but I don't watch.
Yeah, no, The Simpsons kind of ended for me in the. I mean, it didn't make it out of the 2000s, and
well, now I'm going to have to use the power of the internet to find out that. So you ramble on while I
so he sees the commercial for the therapist who basically says, come on over here if your family's a mess, and I guarantee results or double your money back. Yeah. So Homer can't lose.
No, he either fixes his family or he gets a ton of money. Now, what I loved about this is his epiphany was, the answers for all of life's problems aren't in the bottom of a bottle. They're on television. Like, that's a very Homer thing to say.
So he tells Marge, all right, we need to break into the kids' college fund to pay for the therapy session because, they're just scraping by. They're very working class, and but it ends up being like $85 or something like that in a piggy bank. So Lisa's like, oh, I guess I would have needed a scholarship anyway or whatever.
So it's Dr. Monroe. I don't know if we got
Marvin Monroe.
Marvin Monroe.
I think.
Okay, well, it's Monroe. Yeah, they have it as doctor. So
you'll put the little asterisk with the correct name if I said that wrong.
Yeah. Hopefully it's something way out, like Harold or something that's not Marvin.
It could be. I was thinking it started with an H originally.
Herbert. No, that's...
I'm Dr. Marvin Monroe.
Herbie Hancock.
Doy. So they
but it's not enough. It's not enough to pay for the therapy session. Right. So Homer decides to pawn their television.
Yeah,
I loved that pawn shop character so much.
He's so great. He's just like that dude kills people.
Yeah,
like he's like, oh, okay, friend.
Yeah, it was great because Homer brings their old TV and he's like, can I interest you in this? Whatever television, and he's like, well, is it cable ready? He's like a cable ready and more, blah, blah, blah. He's like, will you give me $150 for it? Well, sir, you got yourself a deal.
Like, I know. The second that pawn shop closes, he's out there murdering.
Yeah, dude.
Like, he is
I want
an unexplored character.
Yeah, I was like, greatness. I want more from this character.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if he gets more, because eventually we get the one-armed pawn shop
I don't know that we ever see this guy again.
I don't know either.
But as Simpsons fans, perhaps we start writing some fan fiction and we can edit that out. No one else do it. It's all right. Yeah, I'm coming for you.
Oh, we also probably need the caveat that today is a bit of a YouTube experiment for us, because we don't know algorithmically if getting a copyright claim about talking about The Simpsons 2 episodes ago nuked our views, or if it was something else.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to put any clips in the Jumbotron so that they're not full screen.
We can do that, or just talk more over them.
We weren't claimed for audio. We were claimed for visual only.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous because it's audio commentary over like 10-second clips.
I mean, we don't even need the Jumbotron. We can just insert it on the 2-shot right between us.
Or that, whatever.
As if it were a TV thing.
Editing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're figuring out the weirdness of YouTube.
Yeah, so it's really strange. We had our last main show.
Yeah.
So this is all back end YouTube stuff.
Right.
But
we got less than 10% of the viewership we've been averaging.
Yeah, but an accidental launch of the B5 episode, the Babbling on 5.
Right. We got
that hit the
almost
algorithm
20 times the views that clip usually gets.
So it got the views that should have gone to the main one. So it was really
weird.
Really weird. So
we're figuring this weirdness out. So most people didn't see last episode, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Or 2 episodes ago as the time of filming.
All we can do is hope that one day we get more subscribers, and they just go through
They're
the
just
back
like,
catalog.
oh wow, look at this gem that no one saw.
All this great stuff they talked. We talked about Yetis and Batman.
We talked about Yetis and Batman. How could you not love that?
Maybe there's a conspiracy to push down Yeti content.
Dude, well, on the flat Earth, preventing... So you got the ice wall, of course.
Right.
And you've got the NASA special ops guys on the ice wall preventing you from getting to the edge. But maybe
what's in Antarctica?
Antarctica. So you've got the NASA troops, then space, then the edge of the ice wall. So I bet you in that space... Yetis.
And I bet you Yetis are the natural enemy of lizard people, and they're here to liberate us from them.
I'll bet you they are.
We're on
I
to
was
you.
going to say that, or they're the Nephilim.
Oh. I mean, yeah. Play the X-Files music.
Right.
I bring you peace.
He's bringing keys. Let's go.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, we're not
Spoiler
there
for...
yet.
Yeah, we'll be there in a couple of years at this
anyway,
rate.
So they go to that amazing pawn shop guy who I guess we'll discover... As we go through this, if that's the only time we see him, if so, that's kind of a disappointment.
Yeah.
He's great.
He is.
And they get the $150. They have enough now to go to the therapy, which is just basically shock your family member into good behavior.
Yeah, and it goes very poorly, as you
As you
imagine.
would expect from The Simpsons. They just immediately start pushing all the buttons. And Dr. Monroe throws up his hands in defeat and gives them double their money back.
Yep. So at Homer's insistence.
Then it's like, oh, great, we can go get the TV back. And Homer's brilliant solution is, oh, heck no, we're going to the store, we're getting a better a bigger,
A 21
inch.
21-inch screen.
I remember those days, though.
I mean, I think our original family TV was in the teens. I think it was like 17,
Yeah, so,
15 to 17 inch.
For our personal TV buying, I believe the first nice one that we got was 19-inch for our room.
The one for our room. But I think our childhood TV was smaller than that. I think we eventually scaled up the family TV to like 22.
Yeah.
And I remember when 27s became affordable and everyone had to get their hands on a 27.
I remember
I
buying...
think that's a 27.
No, it looks more like a
25?
20. It might be 22.
Okay.
Because maybe it's 25. But I remember buying, after getting a job, a 25-inch TV for... This was in the next house that we lived in our little upstairs video gaming room.
Yeah.
And buying it for that room. I must have paid like $350 for it, but...
In late 90s, early aughts money.
Right, so it's like $700, $800.
Yeah.
But just feeling
crazy.
like a gangster with this 25-inch
No,
TV.
yeah. And like I remember when I moved out with my friends, and one of the friends worked maintenance for condo rental and got free pics of anything that people left behind. And we had 3 27-inch TVs in the basement that we shared. Or 4. That's how we did LAN parties with Halo.
Bring my Xbox over, and others would too.
Yep.
And
we would just fire up two people per screen. So we had 8 players maximum on multiple 20 and like 27-inch TVs. That was crazy. And they weighed a ton.
This was in our 20s when we could drink beer and just be fine and have no...
Right, so you could drink like a 12-pack of Yingling by yourself
over the course of an entire day without driving anywhere.
Without driving anywhere. And then wake up the next day like, I'm going to work.
Yep.
Not like hospital. I had more than one beer, put me in the hospital.
Those were the days, man. It was literally like Saturday, just the entire day.
Right. Yeah.
Playing Halo.
Like, what are you doing? Oh, literally this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
But anyway, so we're on a bit of the TV tangent, but this is kind of where the episode wraps up. And then that unites the family around Homer. Like, you're the best dad ever. You're the best husband ever. Everyone loves Homer for finding a loophole to get them a better TV. Like that's all.
That's it.
That was it.
Presumably
You did it, homie!
sacrificing their college future. Well, it's only Lisa's. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So another. The same caveat for all season 1 episodes. Yeah. Not peak Simpsons, but
had some
going
bangers in that episode though. Like
it did. Just going back. Yeah. You see how it became so popular.
You do, and like just like the one before with Homer and the boulder, taking his boulder for a walk. Like there's some real great moments peppered in season 1 that, for me, not having rewatched it as much as seasons 3 and on, or 2 and on, I guess. It's like some of these feel new.
They do,
which is great.
Yep.
And compared to modern entertainment, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and most anything is. Yeah. So that I believe wraps up.
I think that's the blobs. The carbon blob. We blobbed it up.
We did
some
blobbing. Do some blobcast.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
All right, we're moving on. Segments.
We are popping number 2.
Yeah.
Do you have coffee in the morning on Saturdays?
No. I don't even caffeinate at all on Saturdays until I come here.
Okay. So I have a coffee and then a couple hours and then
no. I wait because I don't want to bring in a stack of beverages. I want to bring in 2.
Okay.
And so
a stack might be more entertaining.
It might be. I'll just bring bubblies along. I mean, we need the sponsorship.
We do.
So
I like San Pellegrino a lot.
Well, I'm about to completely destroy one company and their ability to sponsor us ever as we talk about what we're talking about next.
Perfect. So,
I'm going to give you 2 guesses on it. It is tangentially connected. It is on theme. It is part of Turtlemania.
It must be a frozen pizza brand and
immediately
Hostess.
No, you got on your first guess. Frozen pizza brand. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be destroying later.
You can try. Yeah. You can try.
Okay, we're going to be at odds.
I'm saying they're
resilient. Yes,
like
they're recession proof. There.
I still see crappy pizza from our childhood available in stores today, and often knowing it's crap.
Yeah.
For the nostalgia, want to buy it. But anyway, what are we putting this under?
Last Century, I guess.
Is it because it's still happening today? But I guess what we're talking about is from Last Century.
It's mostly. I mean, the roots of it are Last Century.
It's Last Century, or it's Perfection.
It could be Perfection. Oh,
is it though?
Maybe I'll do a supercut, like just jumping back and forth between Last Century and Perfection.
Why not? Here's the thing.
Future Dave, you have to do more editing.
Sorry, guy.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Okay, so we're talking about Turtles.
We are talking about the Ninja Turtles, specifically its roots in Turtlemania, which the internet tells me is 89 to 91.
Yep.
But bled a bit into 93. And in that, we had the Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Yep.
We had at least the first 2, if not all 3, live-action movies.
I can tell you. I think.
Arcade games, console games, action figures, comic books. Merchandising.
Did you see the teaser for Spaceballs 2?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you said merchandising.
Yeah, of course I did, Tim.
91. So hard to read these little letters.
So I know the cartoon
was like 88.
88 or 87 for season 1, which was only like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And then the next season was like 50.
I know.
Crazy.
And there was a decline in animation quality.
Yeah, and also the episode count dropped down to like the dozen or so per season as we got to like season 7 or 8. Like they were.
I don't know how they do TV seasons back then, but yeah, it was a formative entertainment product for us as children.
I guess our very first official episode was your segment on Mario Madness, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
I think it may have been.
I don't know. I know we did talk about it later.
So this is now the other insanity of our youth, Turtlemania. So these 2 afflictions were not mutually exclusive. No. You could have Mario Madness and Turtlemania.
Yeah. You don't get the fever from one that cancels out the rash from the other. You've got the fever and the rash.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't get off of school, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not. And it goes fine with Juggler's Despair, which is in The Simpsons at some point. I don't remember which episode. But it's still one of those things.
That's such a great phrase.
Yeah. Some phrases, as we were talking about throughout the week, just have this musicality or something to them that just makes them perfect, makes them funny.
It does. So. It was our experience with Turtlemania began with the cartoon, as I recall.
I think you're right.
I was roughly in 4th grade, and
that sounds right.
I remember, and I may have shared this anecdote on this very podcast when we talked about the Turtles in the skating episode.
Yeah.
But at the time we were going to the private school,
I
had my Ninja Turtles t-shirt.
Yes.
It was in the bathroom.
Right.
The strict teacher walks in.
Right.
And he was teaching a great
idolatry to wear that.
I'm not going to name his name, but yeah, he had a reputation for being very strict, but he told me it was sinful idolatry to wear the Ninja Turtles thing. Anything that didn't glorify God directly or was plain, was in direct violation of God's covenant with us. He told me to put it inside out.
Put it inside out. He didn't make you the shirtless boy. Could you imagine a shirtless boy?
There was a dress code.
There was.
And I think it included a shirt.
Yes.
So.
I'm pretty sure he would have pushed you into a dress code violation. Oh, man. So, that's a tangent. We, as members of a faith full of all kinds of human beings, that's one of the crazier things from youth you've heard. One of my favorite crazy things from youth I heard was John, who we talked about last podcast. He had a Christian teacher for music class that told him fading out is demonic because God wants a completed work. So you're not allowed in his mind to fade out a song because it's then an incomplete work, and therefore demonic.
That's amazing because
I love that one.
In my band days, we didn't on live. You just stop.
Yeah.
But in the recording, it's like this would sound much better as a fade out.
Yeah.
But it can be kind of cheap too.
Yeah.
To not have a stop.
Right.
And sometimes when I hear fade outs, like I was listening to classic rock playlist thingy, and it was Benny and the Jets, and it fades out.
Yeah.
I was like, that's lazy. That's lazy if you Sir Elton John.
Sir Elton.
Just end the song.
Right. Yeah. Like, I know you've won like 1 billion Grammys.
Right.
But
you're a freaking knight.
You're a knight.
End the song.
End the song like you would slay a dragon.
Well, just gonna say what else
your head went there too. Like,
there's other things he'd slay.
There's a lot of other things he used to slay. Anywho, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, so the cartoon was the formative thing, but
as we were very young,
yes,
the live action movies started to come out.
They did. I have this. This is the Blu-ray that is the 3 live action films.
In the last 5 years, watched the first 2. I have not gone back to 3.
I vaguely remember this and may not have ever finished it because it's not very great.
It's not optimum.
But maybe this weekend I'm doing a bunch of nothing for Father's Day, so maybe I'll fire this one up.
I thought about trying to squeeze in watching 3 this morning, but instead I asked you to play video games with me.
Yep, and I preferred that.
And me too.
The original is it's a fantastic film.
Because this could be under perfection, I will throw the word out that Ninja Turtles 1 is a perfect movie.
It really is.
Find a complaint.
I mean,
Shredder's weird fabric.
Yeah, you can. There are technical things like that.
Yeah.
There are sometimes you can really tell that it's a latex.
Donatello laughing in the bathroom and see nightmare,
right?
Nightmare mouth inside of a mouth.
Yes, it's been captured many times,
and we'll put it up because it's worth. When my wife and I were watching it together, we backed it up and watched it and paused because it's like you got to see it. You got to see it for all it's worth.
I didn't do that. I just let it roll by. But maybe a couple of cheesy bits. Like I believe. When it was filmed, wasn't Michelangelo, but dubbed as Raphael on the top of the barn. Splinter.
Oh yeah.
But so there are little cheesy bits.
Technical things.
Splinter being a rodent that was doing ninjutsu or whatever
while he was a rodent, because I believe in the cartoon, he was a human who got mutated into a rat.
Yoshi was mutated because when this ooze came down into the sewer, it would mutate you with whatever living entity you most recently had contact with.
Yeah.
For him, it was rats, and for the turtles, it was him.
Yeah.
So they became more human, and even though that was right after touching them.
Yeah.
So he should have been a turtle too, under that logic, but this is 1980s cartoon logic. And we, as discussed, we never read the original comic run.
No, somehow.
That started this whole thing.
I'm really feeling like that's a gap in my turtle lore.
Yeah, and I
to
think,
be a proper turtle maniac, I feel like I need to go back and fix it.
Yeah, I don't think we were allowed to get them because our comic store would have a section for more grown-up comics, and we weren't allowed to get anything off those shelves.
Not as kid-friendly. I don't know how not kid-friendly they were.
They could have just been more violent. Maybe there's language in them.
I think they were black and white, too.
They were black and white, and as, stupid kids, we made... this is dumb.
Oh, man. Where's the color?
Yeah, I can't get at my crayons and color myself.
Yeah, right.
But, just going back... Okay, so film starts... completely different tone from the cartoon series. So we're in a gritty New York. We're seeing kids committing crimes.
Oh, yeah.
We're hearing April O'Neil talk about the crime wave and everything that's going on.
It feels like a late 70s to early 80s crime movie about
does.
New York. Like, it has the same tone.
We're in New York. We get through this opening segment. April comes outside. She's wearing her or yellow rain jacket.
Yeah.
To throw back to the way the
cartoon
cartoon
look,
was
yeah.
done. But she gets mugged.
Yep.
And everything. So there's street lights going on,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they all get popped with something, and then we hear lots of ninja kung fu sounds, and then all of a sudden the lights come back on. April's fine.
Yeah, and
all the guys are tied up.
all the attackers are done.
Yeah, and then, but as the camera pans away, we see one of Raphael's size on the ground, and we get the iconic sewer lift with his hands sticking out and his eyes sticking through.
Yeah.
But he sees, and then what was shocking was him saying,
So while we were watching that, my wife was just like, that was the first time in childhood I ever heard the D word.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It was all cartoons and Disney stuff up until that point, right?
And then I joked, for those of you who may have watched The Venture Brothers, Hank at one point says double, and Dean's like, you just used the double D word. You're turning into a super bad person. So yeah, I told my wife it's okay. It wasn't the double D word, so it's fine.
That's right. But yeah, so the turtles are going through the sewer, going back to their lair, and then we get another from Raphael.
Yeah, I think we get like 3 in the movie. It's
the only swear that's used, and it's used by him.
Yeah, to show us, not tell us, to show us that he's the loose cannon. He's the gruff.
So
like,
Leonardo leads.
Donatello
does machines.
Yeah.
Raphael's cool but rude, and Michelangelo
is a party dude.
Party dude.
Yeah.
That's right. So we know who they are and what their characters are. But I mean, Raphael has historically been the most interesting.
Yes, he's always been my favorite.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that as we go. But yeah, so we get a great film. I don't know how much focus we want to pay on just the film because there's so much to talk about.
I want to go through a few things that I have mental notes.
Okay. Was one of them that it's the first time we ever saw Sam Rockwell? Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. I wasn't
Regular?
sure. I wasn't sure.
Or menthol?
I wasn't sure it was him because he didn't do a goofy little dance.
I did not, no. But I remembered deep in the catacomb that is my fading intellect, I remembered that he was in this movie.
I didn't, and I watched this again as an adult.
Yeah.
I want to say like 5 years ago, and it's like, oh man, this is still so good. But forgot everything. Surgery happened in between, so I lost like 2 years of my life.
Yes, you did. Your brain was just in a fugue state.
Watched it again and was delighted all over again.
Yeah,
because then I remembered. Oh, that's right.
And it's also Elias. Casey Jones, Elias, whatever his name is. He's been in so much.
I think he was in like a Law and Order type show
and then,
for a while.
I love him for Wet Hot American Summer as the cook.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to go home and fondle my sweaters. Did you say you're going to go fondle your sweaters? No, I'm going to make fondue with cheddar. That's what I said, fondue with cheddar. Yeah, he was great in that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Probably
the first time we saw him. And again, he was a man's man. He was rugged. He was, like one of the things that's great about this is that this was the 90s. Everyone could just be themselves. Didn't have to have weird messaging. You could just, like, men were men, women were women, and, like, everyone worked together.
Turtles were turtles, rats were rats.
Yeah. Small furry aliens from Alpha Centauri were small. Oh, no, that's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But
no, you're thinking of the neutrinos. I think, from the cartoon.
Yes.
They came through the whatever dimension.
The teenagers from
where Krang's...
Dimension X, I think?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And that's where Krang came from with his Technodrome.
With his Technodrome, but no body. Did not come with him.
We often say as old men...
whenever we get hurt or we're sore.
My body!
And yeah, every time.
Krang humor.
Krang. Some hot Krang talk. Krangcast.
That's why I have him still in packaging, because it's Krang.
Krang.
He's the man.
Yeah.
Well, he's the brain.
He's the brain.
Back
to the movie. Yeah.
Back to the movie. Another thing... as we jump ahead in the story, and it's actually a good story. By Raphael losing that sai, it goes to April.
Yeah.
She finds it, picks it up, carries it. The Foot Clan is onto her because she's reporting on them.
Yes.
So Shredder wants her out of the picture.
Right.
So they're following April, but so is Raphael to get his sai back.
Right.
Which lets him rescue her from an attack on the in New York City on a subway with nobody else in it. Lena and I were watching it together too, and she's like, where in New York can you go where there's literally nobody else? I was like, apparently this subway.
That exact subway stop. And then of course in rescuing her, is pursued by a single member of the Foot Clan who then finds their lair, which leads to, A leads to B leads to C, instead of MacGuffin leads to MacGuffin leads to MacGuffin.
Yeah, it was just
linear storytelling.
You can
very clear.
Despite the goofiness and the conceit that these are Ninja Turtles with a talking rat.
Yeah.
It's a clear story to follow. But as we progress, the part that really stood out to me was when they all get to April's apartment and the Foot finds them there.
Yeah.
And we get into our first really big fight.
Yeah.
Really goofy music is playing.
Yeah.
Like trumpety, almost like whimsical battlefield music.
While Raph is getting the ever-loving tar kicked out of him. Like he's getting beaten nearly to death.
To me, that felt like a studio note.
I think it was. I think it's like, this is a movie for kids. Tone it down.
Because it's not over-the-top violent, because it's just PG, so there's not like blood and guts, but it's still pretty intense.
It's a defeat. Like, it's not like the Turtles walk away winners. They walk away a draw, maybe?
Maybe, but there's a few other things too, like goofy things being done, like spitting the water from the fish tank, hitting the guys with the cymbals.
Yeah.
And it also felt like studio notes because when the Foot guys get the axes and hack down and we drop a level, then they hit the power line and it starts the fire. Then the music shifts to a more like brooding late 80s not techno, like, you know what I mean. What would you call that style of music?
Cinematic.
Like synthesizer.
Okay,
like 80s synth. There we go.
Synth, okay.
80s synth wave, but a little dark.
Yeah.
And it was like, if that music had been playing the whole time, the tone of that entire fight would be different. And if they took out the little comedy bits. So
interesting. I kind of want to pull that scene into my editor and do that now.
You might want to. And what I'm really curious about,
if I have time, we'll do.
So one fun thing that I told you, as we film, it is mid-June. In mid-August, there's been a 4K restoration of the original film.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be released for its anniversary several years ago, but COVID, blah, 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 blah. So it's just been kicked down. The can's been kicked down. But it's finally coming to theaters for 2 days in August. But there's also going to be a 4K Blu-ray release, and it's going to be by Arrow Video, and they do the stuff like when DVD first came out and you would get special editions with all the features and
documentaries.
So it is a brand for a physical media enthusiast, which I am.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to find lots of juicy tidbits about the making of this movie, because it is
fun. Yeah.
It's for kids, but it totally works.
It's shockingly good watching it as an adult. It was not just the nostalgia. It was like, this is still 100% fully enjoyable as an adult watching it. Like
it is. But if you're a person who doesn't like fantasy type stuff where there are fantastical creatures, or you're never going to get over the fact that it's goofy.
One of the things, especially it being Father's Day weekend, that I loved was the glorification of the father figure in Splinter.
All fathers care for their sons.
Yeah. But yeah, and seeing Splinter father the Turtles, seeing them father that boy who's having a rough relationship with his dad. Danny, yeah.
Who I wanted to call Sid because he wears the Sid shirt, but also looks a little like Sid from Toy Story.
He does, yes. And apparently, my wife thought that he was April's son. Just that's how she remembered it, and was like, "Oh, that's her boss's son." In her mind, those were a divorced couple.
Yeah, I mean, it plays that way.
It does play that way. It's like, why is he in his employee's apartment? Like, why? It's a little weird.
Yeah,
some weird tension there. But never acknowledges her as a mom. So I guess maybe they dated.
Who knows?
But yeah, I just absolutely loved that this was still okay to like be pro dad and pro masculine. Like, it was a very different era.
It really was. And so when the Turtles from their defeat go back to the farm to heal and recoup, before they have to go back to the city and ultimately try to rescue Splinter. But Splinter comes to Leonardo in a vision.
Yeah.
He gets the rest of the guys, and then Splinter comes to them. And it's a surprisingly emotional scene.
Yeah.
Of Splinter coming to them and like kind of reaffirming each of them.
Yes, like speaking their identity into them, which is kind of the role of a dad.
Yeah.
Like, this is who you, like, I'm shepherding you into your own manhood.
Yep.
Which is kind of what dads do.
It is. And it's so it's just great because we don't get that these days.
No, we get Homers. We get an ocean of Homer Simpsons and Peter Griffins and...
Yeah, or the other side, and we get nobody.
Yeah.
The dad who's very masculine, but it's hidden identity, and he goes around and beats up.
Right.
I can't wait for Nobody 2.
Nobody 2 is going to be
so
great.
good.
Can't wait. Yeah.
But yeah, so to sum up the film, absolutely watch it. Maybe if you're a collector, wait for the 4K Blu-ray. I don't know when it's coming out. Arrow Video teased it as coming out in August, but it was not in their August releases. So maybe they're going to tease it in their
into Christmas,
maybe they're teasing for their announcements in August for their September releases.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know, but it was great because I was on Twitter at 10 a.m. on the day that they were going to X. I was on X at 10 a.m. on the day that they said I'd gone out to my phone, and so they, post after post of the different ones coming out. And when the last one dropped, I went into it because I was like, I have to see what the comments are. And the very first comment was the Ninja Turtles and the word. It's like,
that's great.
Yep.
That's great. This is the cussiest episode of our podcast ever. Just don't use the double D word.
No,
I already did.
You're a super bad person.
But I did it as a reference.
You did? Ooh.
Quasi bad person?
Yeah.
So, Turtlemania expands beyond this excellent film.
Yep.
We touched on the cartoon briefly. Did you watch an episode?
I did. I watched the first episode.
Okay, I watched the third or fourth with the Mousers, the guy who invented the Mousers, who later becomes
Baxter.
the Fly. Baxter, the guy who becomes the Fly. Nothing negative to say. It's a solid cartoon.
Yeah, it's a little on the goofy side.
Yeah.
The first episode, it's kind of funny. Starts very similar to the film. April talking about crime in the city, but we get to see Rocksteady and Bebop as in their human form.
Their punk rock form. Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. There was a funny little gag with the punks. They're going around, graffitiing, spray painting, and then there's a guy against the wall reading his paper,
and he gets tagged,
spray painted over, and then
great.
just walks away. And so it's silly, but it's still good.
Yeah, I felt that way about the episode I watched. So playing, which we can talk about more, all the coin-op arcade games, Mousers were just constant waves of Mousers. So I was like, I want to watch that one. It's where they're introduced. Baxter is just trying to invent a thing for pest control.
Oh, okay.
Pitches it to a company as this will get rid of all rats in New York City. And the guy's like, get rid of all rats? You'll put me out of business? Heck no. Tosses them out. But
sorry, my brain instantly had synopses lighting up about grifters that fight for causes that you believe in, and they don't want those causes to end because it's their source of income.
The grift train ends. Yeah, interesting.
Always be careful with people like that.
Yeah,
whichever side of anything. You're on.
If grievance grifters are, they're ridiculous. The money dries up if they win.
Don't get rid of the rats because then I'll be out of a job.
Right.
Think about it.
Conspiracy corner coming up. So then of course. Oru Kusaki is still looking for Hamato Yoshi, and he's a rat now. So he's like, I'm going to hire dude, and I'm going to get him to make these at scale, and we're going to use them to find Splinter.
Makes sense.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
And so he builds wave after wave, and it's fun. You see the tension between Shredder and Krang, because Krang just wants Shredder to make him a body. Shredder wants to wipe out Hamato Yoshi and the Turtles trained by him because of the blood feud. So, they're at odds in the episode, even to the point that Krang betrays him and lets the Turtles do some stuff to undermine Shredder, to get Shredder to do what he wants. So, you've got kind of that dynamic all throughout the show of Krang and Shredder at odds. When their goals overlap, it's bad for everyone. When their goals don't overlap, it's good for everyone. So, it's good. But this goes to the greater Turtlemania, as I teased at the beginning, Elio's Pizza.
That's the exact one I was thinking of.
Yes.
The little square, break it into 3 pieces.
So we had 3 main frozen pizza brands in youth. It expanded to better frozen pizza.
Was Tombstone one of them? That was later.
It
was still in youth, but it was
Tombstone and Red Baron came before DiGiorno and but we mainly had Elio's, Celeste, and Totino's.
But and then also if sometimes our parents would get those French bread pizzas, the frozen ones.
Those were Stouffer's.
Stouffer's,
yeah, those were.
And they still make those.
Yeah.
And I had one in the last 5 years. Yeah. I mean, it's not food, but man, does it taste good.
Well, the Red Baron one's similar. It's a little better, I think, than the Stouffer's.
I haven't had a Red Baron in a long time.
Yeah, those hold up. Anyway, hot pizza talk. We could do Pizza Cast because we're from that era, and so I think tacos may have replaced pizza in the modern zeitgeist, but pizza was all anyone talked about for food for the entire decade of the 90s.
Well, I mean, so now we have things like DoorDash.
Yeah.
Before then, the only delivery food you could get was pizza or Chinese.
Pizza or Chinese, yeah.
And pizza is cheaper, faster. I guess, and liked more in general by kids more than Chinese food.
More accessible to the simple palate.
So in a world where having food come to your house is extremely ideal and new, pizza was huge. And then, having it frozen, quick way to feed the family, cheap.
Of the three brands that I mentioned, and there were probably more, but at least in our market, those were the three big ones. Elio's wasn't just inferior, it was vastly inferior.
Yes.
But they marketed with the Ninja Turtles. So what brand do you ask your parents for?
Elio's.
Did you know the box would have a cutout?
It's all coming back to me now, like the song.
So Elio's.
I was wondering why we got Elio's all the time when there were so many. My thought was that it was the smaller sizes, like it was
because you would get it was 3 rectangles made of 3 rectangles, and like each individual is about the size of an iPhone, and so 3 of them.
Yeah,
but we would eat it one whole one each,
right? So. But I'm saying rather than have to make an entire pizza for 2 to 4, you have your individual
rectangles of pizza,
and they were microwaved where they come out soft and drippy on the sides and hard and cold in the center.
Or if you over microwave, then they become plastic on the edges.
Yeah, dude,
like inedible.
And still gobbled them up
constantly, and objectively the worst frozen pizza.
Yeah,
I mean maybe some store brand ones were worse, but of the name brands they were terrible.
They really were
inedible texture. Like
I remember school cafeteria pizza tasting better.
Yes,
than that. And that's saying something.
Yes, absolutely. I firmly believe that the only reason Elio's existed and continue to exist to this day is its marketing with Ninja Turtles.
You know, I almost want to look it up now. I'm curious.
I'm curious to see if there's a stock ticker of its popularity
as new Ninja Turtle shows are released.
Right. The dark friendship between Turtles and Elio's Pizza. But yeah, it's inedible. Don't eat it. It's not food.
I'm really
unless
tempted.
You want to sponsor the podcast, in which case Elio's Pizza is so good I'm eating one right now.
I am genuinely considering going to the store and getting into Elio's.
I was considering getting a Little Caesars just because we had one. We don't anymore though. But
it's gone.
It's now Kelsey's or something. It's
Dang.
Kind of different. Yeah, because I never pulled the trigger on it. Now it's too late.
I was watching the Fat Electrician YouTube channel, and he highlights different businesses that just do something new or extraordinary. And Little Caesars was one of them. And it was just 20 minutes of Little Caesars talk, more about the business than the food itself. Yeah. I was like, I really want
some hot Little Caesars talk.
I want some Little Caesars. Remember the Bigfoot?
I do.
Oh,
yeah.
That was good.
It's good. Anyway, now all of this to say, Turtlemania was at its peak right around the early 90s, and a sequel movie was announced. And the greatest moment of my young life was that our dear sweet mother...
She worked at the library at the college.
At University of Maryland in College Park, which seemed light years away. It's 2 towns away.
Yeah.
Seemed light years away from us, but she got advanced screening tickets for her boys who she loves. And we got to see this movie before our friends.
Yes, The Secret of the Use.
The Secret of the Use. And we got to attend school having seen a movie our friends haven't seen yet.
Yeah, by at least a week before they could.
We were, we had so much social currency. The only time in youth we ever had social currency was that we got to go see Secret of the Use a week early.
Yep.
We got to go to college where adults go and see.
In a really, it was a really old building, too.
Yeah,
I don't even know if that building exists anymore.
I feel like I saw I don't know if it exists now, but I feel like in my early 20s, I saw a band play there. I think it may have been Dashboard. I'm trying to think who I saw there.
Yeah, but again, that's 20-ish years ago. So,
right. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but dude, that was. Most people didn't believe that I had seen it.
No, most people were like, no. Yeah. But
No.
And we were still in that private school. It was either 2nd or 3rd grade. I remember which room I was in talking to friends. It was the lab, the science lab room. I remember that's where I was telling everyone that I'd seen it and bragging because, no. If you think I have no social grace now, imagine me at age 9, or whatever I would have been.
So a memory was just triggered from that private school. and getting cafeteria pizza. If you remember, they would do pizza like on Wednesdays.
Yeah, that sounds
something
right.
like that. You bring in $1.50, you can get a
Yeah.
pizza. You have to at whoever at the door as you're going into school, and then you can get the pizza at lunchtime. But they would cook them in the plastic bag.
In the plastic bag. Yep.
But
And you
what
would peel it off, and sometimes the cheese would stick to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have this memory of this poor boy who had gotten his pizza, was holding it in one hand because he had his books in the other.
No.
And he was standing crying because of how hot it was, because he couldn't find a place to sit down. And it was just locked into my head. And as a boy myself, not knowing what to do about that situation and just feeling bad for him, but
Right, but not knowing that you had some power there. You
right,
could've,
I could have walked up and grabbed his books for him, or
something.
something to help the poor boy. But that image is locked in my head. So little boy who's my age now, young man, old guy,
who probably bought Bitcoin,
right,
and is probably doing just fine and doesn't need to hear from you,
right. But I'm sorry I didn't take action, and if you're out there, God bless you, sir.
Indeed. So yes, at this private school, we were kings or liars, depending on how you looked at our story. That was true. We got to see Secret of the Ooze before everyone else.
I remember having a long discussion in the car. We were taking our friend Alan home.
Oh, yeah,
This is after Secret of the Ooze had come out, and for whatever reason, you or I, or both of us, wanted to argue why it was called The Secret of the Ooze and not The Secret Ooze.
Yeah, there was a huge argument about
Yeah. And which one made more sense.
Yeah.
And because I just remember Mom was driving and just her being amused by our petulance.
Right.
And we never got over it.
Yeah. We still will argue.
Yeah.
The most minute detail.
But that's what nerd culture, geek culture. That's what we do. We
find stupid hills to die on,
and we're passionate about things that don't ultimately matter.
Yeah.
But those arguments form some of the best memories we'll ever have. So go figure.
Yeah.
But you had touched on the video game.
Yes, which is actually where I wanted to go next, because the coin ops and the NES and all of it.
Yeah. So
the NES game is super hard.
It is. We talked about that, I think, on the skating episode.
Yeah.
It's still hard. I've tried it, but the Turtles arcade games being ubiquitous in the sense you would find them at movie theaters, roller rinks,
Chuck E. Cheese, pizza places. They anywhere that had a coin op machine, you were almost guaranteed that one of the coin ops was a Ninja Turtles game.
Yep. So that was what I would gravitate, or we would gravitate towards. This is like pre Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat kind of becoming the thing.
Yeah.
But
right, the side-scrolling action beat 'em up.
Yeah. So there was this. There was X-Men. There were Captain America and the Avengers.
There's
so many, but it was Turtles, so it was the one to play if you had the chance. Even Simpsons behind
Even the
you.
Simpsons one was close, but not quite.
Yeah. So I just remember always wanting to gravitate towards that, and then the absolute joy when they made it for Nintendo so you could play it at home as much as you wanted.
Oh, yeah. And boy, did we.
We sure did.
Yeah.
And I would say the crescendo would have been Turtles in Time coming out for
Turtles
Super
in Time,
Nintendo, because
Bury my skull.
for NES they had to sacrifice a lot of frames of actual animation, so it appears as flashing when to have the appropriate number of characters on the screen to emulate the arcade as best as possible.
Right, but it definitely peaked at Turtles in Time on SNES.
Yeah, none of that stuff. Some slowdown,
and I have so many hours of memories of playing that at Matt the Legend's house, or having friends over and playing it at ours. Like, it was
Big Apple,
3 a.m. Yep.
We had talking. Oh, so great.
Not a lot,
but some. It was very much a novelty.
A little bit. Yeah. It was something else.
Yeah, but those games were fantastic. I don't know if, because we never had a multi-tap, so the Super Nintendo would only give you 2 controller ports. They did make an adapter for 4. I don't know if Turtles in Time lets you play 4 players on the SNES. I know the arcade could.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think. I'm trying to think if any of our. I can only think of one family that may have had the multi-tap.
Because they had enough kids.
Yeah, they had enough kids, but I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, I really don't.
I'm drawing a blank there.
But yeah, most of the memories are just.
I'll text Drew when this is over, and
but mostly just taking turns, 2 at a time playing the game.
Right. When your character, because you're going to die.
Yep.
When your character dies on the continue,
next guy gets to
the next
go.
guy.
Yep.
There were very easy ways to manage this as a kid.
Yep.
Very easy.
Oh, but those games. I don't know that any of them could ever make. If I had to make like a top Tim list of best games ever, I don't know that a Turtles game would make it there. I don't think any of that gameplay.
I don't think any of those games can for gameplay.
But if we were going nostalgia, it's
absolutely.
knocking on the door. Yeah. If it's not in the top 5.
Yeah, I agree. They don't have the same quality gameplay and replayability, but the memories, the nostalgia.
Yeah, and the main way that these arcade versions worked were to get your quarters.
Yes.
So
so you get your 3 lives, and when your third one dies, you pump in your quarter to continue.
Yeah. So if you're
or your Chuck E. Cheese token,
right? But if you're playing on your home console, I guess you can run out of continues. It's been a long time since I've.
I don't remember.
Gone through.
I think you may have had a finite amount, but I don't remember. But it's been long enough.
That challenge aspect has been taken away because you don't have to put in more quarters.
Right.
You've paid for the game or rented it.
Right.
So you can just keep going. But still, getting to have it at home, huge.
Yeah. There's one last bit of archaic Turtle memory that I want to go into before The Last Ronin.
Okay.
And that is the live tour.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I never went. I think
of course we didn't go.
I think we had an opportunity that didn't work out.
So, and it's possible we aged out of it because it was. I watched some clips of it this morning. Just to get it fresh in the head. It's worse than I remember.
I remember it looking awesome.
It's worse. And I must have looked this up in the past because when we got to Splinter, I was like, yes, he's skipping stones. So he has a song about skipping stones. Did that unlock a memory?
No, because I thought it was just our 4 turtles rocking and rolling like guys in rubber suits.
So Splinter gets a song, April gets a song, Shredder may have had a song or at least a monologue while trying to remove music from the world, which then would remove all goodness.
Oh no, that was Team America.
Team America. So yeah, I was. My daughter was in the room with me, and I was just like, "You're just gonna have to see what it was like to be a child when I was a child." This was like I was like comparing it to like the Yo Gabba Gabba live show, or I'm trying to think who else did live stuff. Like a bunch of kid stuff now does a live thing.
Really?
That's like way better.
Oh, I mean,
but this is like I was like, this was it. Like and it toured and it made so much money. And look how awful it is. Like look at like. There's no enjoyment for an adult taking the kid. There's nothing here.
It's a punishment. So
it's a punishment.
Like when your wife took our kids to see the Minecraft movie, so none of us had to.
God bless my wife, so none of us had to go see it. But yeah, so they again, this was such a successful franchise. If you put Turtles on anything, it made money. The live tour was terrible. It made money. They made a Ninja Turtles cereal that came with a Leonardo bowl, I think. Like, I mean, they're just... It was on everything.
I mean, yeah, there were Turtles, like fruit snacks.
It dominated, like, we talked about Mario Madness. This puts that to shame.
Yeah,
Turtlemania, like, it's impossible to be our age and not have seen something Ninja Turtles, let alone highly unlikely to not have been a fan.
And at least there was enough quality to the point where I am genuinely excited to go see this movie in the theater.
Yeah,
like,
and... I mean, we didn't even touch on it. We've got some on display. We didn't even touch on how huge the action figure line was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there were dozens, and they were almost all good.
Right up there.
Yeah, we've got
they're
swimming Michelangelo.
Yeah, I don't know. They did like these surf variations.
They did so many variations. Every villain, every spin-off character. I mean, you could get Usagi Yojimbo. I mean, you could get everyone.
Yeah, it might have been outdoing G.I. Joe in terms of the breadth of available figures and vehicles and play sets.
They were like, they looked at George Lucas and they were like, merchandising, eh?
Yeah, so
and they learned
but something about this worked.
Yes.
That still as an adult I am a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize the cheesy stuff for being cheesy and still enjoy it. But let's talk about
being a fan and as an adult. The Last Ronin.
So you turned me on to this, and the first thing I said to you upon completing it was like, this is, if they never did anything else but made the first Ninja Turtles movie, and then 20 years later made a sequel to it.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
You can just see some of this beautiful art. This is a flashback of Raphael getting in a fight. So the conceit of The Last Ronin is 3 of the turtles are dead.
Yes.
Splinter is dead.
Yes.
All that remains is one turtle. He is brandishing all of their kit.
Mm-hmm.
He has all of the headbands. And at least for the first several chapters, it is unclear.
I don't think we'll say who it is.
No, I'm not going to give it away. You should read this. It's unclear who it is.
This is a $15 hard
It's insane how cheap you can
graphic
get this.
novel on Amazon.
Like, it is such high quality. Now, the negatives, there's a lot of stuff in here referencing material I did not read.
Yeah. There's like a
robot
guy
and it's
that I
very
don't know.
central to the plot.
Yep.
That is obviously something that was explained in other books I did not get to. So there are chunks of this where I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But not so bad to take away from the overall good. Your main villain is Hiroto Saki's grandson. And sort of whatever good the Turtles were able to accomplish by defeating Shredder has been undone by his daughter and then grandson. And now the Last Ronin with a new team of human compatriots, including some old friends, some new, have to band together to take down the grandson.
Yeah. It's a great story, flashbacks that fill in kind of...
Right, you see the fate of each of the Turtles, you see the fate of Splinter, and eventually they reveal which Turtle you've got, and, obviously the trauma of losing his three brothers, his father, and having to do this alone. And
this was such a successful story that there's now like a whole Last Ronin universe.
Yeah, and I started Last Ronin 2. I have the first 3.
Yeah, I've borrowed them from
you.
They're fine, but this is a masterpiece.
They're not as good, and they've not been on release schedule. They've missed some dates, and it's caused some obvious fan backlash, like, hey, release your books.
Right.
So
this is not GRRM level.
Right. So, but still, it's like, it was interesting, but not enough to hook me. I mean, it's like the Turtles have additional abilities, and yeah, there's some cool stuff, but this has the hook of characters that I know and love.
Right.
And while some are still very much in the background, or one, I guess, is still very much in the background in the continuation of Last Ronin, it's not enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is a great story. It has a great forward by Roberto Rodriguez, the director, who's made some excellent films.
Yep.
And his whole story about his 4 kids, and all of them being in a different like generation and having a different Ninja Turtle cartoon or whatever at the time that they gravitate towards, but all of them being fans and it being like a rite of passage for his kids, but all of them, despite the age differences, loving this story. And it really is, if you are a Turtle fan, I can attest as a original Turtle fan, well, original being cartoons and original film, right. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It's, again, this is why this is probably under perfection, not last century, or a bit of both, because it's between the movie, the games, and this, there's so much that they killed it. They absolutely killed it.
Yeah, they really did.
The people, like, this has been a very well curated and protected property that has not been completely ruined by its owners or its reinventors or whatever. Like, it's
survived the mid 2000s movies
somehow.
So, which I
almost watched because Reacher is one of the Turtles.
Oh, okay, yeah, you told me that. I did watch. I think I said before. I think I found them both for like $1 something back when they used to. There were websites that would give you
like
codes for Voodoo at deep discounts. I was like, I'll spend $2 and watch these 2 stupid movies, and I did, and they were fun but stupid, nothing memorable.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, and then I haven't watched some of the other series. I never saw the TMNT animated movie that came out.
Didn't that kind of lean into the weird frame rate thing that...
Well, that was the most recent one, the Mutant Mayhem, which
people learn the wrong lessons. Like, oh, Spider-Verse was popular and it's a weird frame rate. Let's do weird frame rates. No, Spider-Verse was well written.
Yeah. Well, the first one. Anyway.
The first one. Yeah.
And, I hear that, I think it was 2009 that the TMNT animated...
That sounds right. I remember seeing ads for that.
Because you can buy a set that includes
you know what?
that too.
I think I was actually on go back to...
flying?
I was flying. I think that I watched like 2 minutes of it and I was like, no.
Oh, okay.
Like, it just made, but then again, when you're on an airplane, you're not in a good mood.
If it's ever like on Prime or something that I already pay for, then yeah, I'll check it out, but I'm not seeking it out. But all that to say, the Turtle content I've consumed, there's a large gap from the 90s
till Last Ronin.
Which one was that, like 2015, 2019?
It was in the tens or teens, yeah.
Okay.
It was more than 5 years ago, certainly, yeah.
You could check, but it's absolutely love this story. I just, in preparation for today, I didn't reread it because it's a more wordy story than...
Yeah, and I read it in the last 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, but I just thumbed through the pages just to remember the overarching plot.
Well, I mean, the forward's 2022,
but that could be for this graphic novel.
And all this text is small, and I'm young.
I know
my body.
See,
originally published. No date.
No date. Well, we'll pop it up on the screen because it'll be easy enough to find.
It'll be
on
easy
the
enough to grok.
Yeah,
I'll grok it.
Do that thing.
Before we wrap, we had mentioned at the beginning gravitating toward Raph. Let's rank our turtles.
Okay.
Raph's number 1 for me.
Yeah.
Donatello's number 2 for me.
I'm going to let you rank.
Okay. Michelangelo 3 and Leo 4.
So, I have...
You're going to switch Donatello and Michelangelo?
Well, I might actually fully agree with you, but as I loved playing as either Leo or Donatello on the video games.
Yes,
Donatello, you have the staff. It's very helpful for combat. Mm-hmm. And then there was something about Leonardo being the leader that I did. I would say as a kid, I think Leo was my favorite, but now it's Raphael. Yeah. So I would probably have to say, to be fair and intellectually honest and consistent, I would have to go Raph, Leo, Donnie, Mikey.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think Mikey was supposed to be everyone's favorite.
I loved him as a kid because he was funny.
He was funny, but party dude.
Yeah.
But as a nerd, I am drawn toward Donatello because he's a fellow nerd.
Yeah.
And Raph, I think Raph is the most well-rounded character.
He is. Yeah,
he's the most. He's the best written.
He is.
He actually has stuff.
He's got a lot of anger, and he tries to keep it under control as best he can. He could be the leader, but
if he would get his stuff together. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, and that's. I think, characters like Raphael or Cyclops from the X-Men often get kind of sidelined because they're the steady one. Yeah. And
you mean Leo, not Raphael?
Did I say I'm sorry, Leo. Yeah. So they get a little sidelined because you've got Wolverine and Raphael to compete with, with their,
like Dwight in The Office. Like you watch The Office, you're like, oh, Jim's my guy. Mm-hmm. You watch it a second time, you're like, oh wait, Dwight's kind of the rock of this. Mm-hmm. Like without Dwight, nothing works.
Yeah, it's true. So as you and I being consistent people in our individual families, it
matters.
It does. So I can gravitate towards that a little bit too. Mm-hmm. But I also understand the seething rage that fuels.
Oh yeah. I've just learned to contain it through meditation and katana use.
I was going to say you just put it in a little ball and you just shove it way down.
I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor.
I think that concludes whatever
segment this is. I think we're done.
Yeah, but Turtles. 2 thumbs up. Love them.
Love.
Perfection.
Well,
again, we have done it.
We've done it. We have cast some potting.
Patting myself on the back. We made it.
We even with one less segment, we're kind of right on track for being about an hour 45.
I had a feeling with Turtles
we were going to go a little long. Yeah, a little deeper. So I was worried that the Simpsons were usually a little shorter than B5, but we've managed. So we don't have a hugely deep final topic today, but we've got one that's personal for us.
Let's roll the thingy.
I had 80s and 90s Christian parents.
And they were going to show people that weren't even saved Terminator 2!
Who could it have been? Satan!
We've lightly touched on where our faith/church journey led us from the megachurch to the Presbyterian church. And then from there, with some maybe slight bouncing, we eventually wound up at a church that met in a movie theater in Towson, Maryland.
That's right. So our buddy John had moved there to go to school and found that church and invited us to come check it out with him, and we did. And we ended up attending for a couple of years.
And I met my wife there.
Yeah.
I made some very long-lasting friendships there, and got into some fun that wound up turning into my career.
Yes.
Interestingly enough.
And even what we do now
what we're doing now has roots in this.
Yeah.
I guess the conceit... So it was a 2-campus church. There was a campus in a nearby town that was not really a college town. Mm-hmm. That was sort of the main...
Yes.
And then the Towson branch was the offshoot.
And ironically, further from where we lived.
Yes, we would have been closer to go to the original one, which is where my wife went.
Yep.
But as we start attending, I mean, it's very obviously with it being on a college or near a college campus, the movie theater closest to, its focus was on reaching the college kids.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of people in their very early 20s. Not a ton of people older than that. There were one or two, I guess, kind of elders that were trying to help shepherd that group.
Yep.
God bless you, people.
Seriously.
College kids, what a task. But you had a lot of creativity.
Yes.
You had a lot of musicians, artists, etc.
Yep.
And the pastor of the Towson campus had a background in digital arts, which was on full display, and kind of how that journey began.
Yeah. So there would every couple of months. Since it was in a theater, they took advantage of that and would have little movies, little films that were produced by people that went to the church and played, and they were on theme with whatever the message was going to be.
And typically part of the cultural zeitgeist. Like, I think when we had started, they had done a Matrix series. So whatever, I don't remember what the sermons were that were attached to it, but they had made their own sort of Matrix-y thing. There were a couple people there that were in martial arts. So there was that, and there was also internet humor, like Strong Bad was really popular, and they did some Strong Bad stuff. They did some Strong Bad things. Deleted. So as we get more invested and known in the Towson location, I think I went to the pastor and was like, "Hey, who does the videos? I want to get involved. Like, this seems fun."
Yeah.
At the time, I think I was an electrician.
Yeah, sounds right.
Either that or cell phone sales. It was in that era. So no real direction. I think I had already dropped out of college once, maybe twice. I don't remember. Once. Like, oh, hey, this girl Holly does videos. So does the pastor.
Right.
But it's like, so let me introduce.
Well, they're the editors, right? So we do. Yeah. Whoever does the filming, and then
hand it off, and it's like, here's some. We'll teach you some of the basics on how to film, and work with these people to do the editing. So we had already gravitated to a guy at the Towson branch who was hilarious.
Yep.
Made friends with him. Just always had a blast hanging out with him. So we're like, okay, well, let's. So I meet this young woman who's the editor. So at the time, she had a boyfriend, I had a girlfriend. So it was, great that we met. But the spoiler alert that we get married is many years in the future.
And I remember too when we'll get there, I guess. But the first time we drove out to where your in-laws still live,
yes,
was like, oh man, this is far.
This is far,
and it's where we choose to live now.
Yeah, we live in far now.
Yeah,
like that house is 5 minutes from mine and probably 8 minutes from yours. But so we live. we went to far.
We
and
sure
we lived there. So we meet this young woman. I guess at the time I was probably 20. You were probably 23. It was probably right around there, maybe 21, 24. Right. But right in that. I mean, we're playing in our bands. We're doing our
Lena and I
young guy stuff.
Are still dating. Yeah, we're not yet married.
You were close to getting married, but not quite married yet. So we're our buddies on the worship team. His band is amazing.
So good.
They should have made it. Of all the bands, they should have made it. And we start doing sermon-related comical videos with our buddy that we made at church, and we each kind of take the helm of one parable.
Yep.
So we did like the unmerciful servant. We did the wages for the day. I don't remember what the third one was.
I don't either. But you had the unrepentant servant.
Yes.
And I had the wages for the day. So we worked together, but.
Yeah, so you and I were kind of a writing team, shocker.
Yeah.
And then we kind of cast each other and our friends and worked on these smaller, I mean, I think these had like 5 people max. Most of them were like 1 or 2.
Yeah, and yours was probably, I think the pastor, Dave, had said that the one you made was probably the best one ever made for the entire time. So
it was fun.
You had the idea was perfect.
Yeah.
And it was more achievable. This is the problem in youth when you write an idea. Getting it done is the hard part.
So we learned that on our next attempt. You had
I think it was you. The for my still favorite gag we ever did.
The oh crap.
Oh crap. Yep. Yeah. Hopefully we have the video and can
I think
show
my wife
it.
still has the video because she was the editor. So we'll hopefully show maybe show the whole. We might have to. I don't know if the music's copyrighted. We may have to cut the music out. But
I mean, we can have the whole thing playing while we're talking.
We can talk.
No
over
one
it.
has to see our faces to understand what we're talking about. So.
Yeah. So, we had a ton of fun doing that. We shot that on campus, I think.
Yeah, we made it in the style of a talkie.
We made it, yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't a talkie.
I know, it was a silent movie.
It was a movie. But yeah, yours was a talkie.
Yeah. And we did some fun stuff to you in that one.
Yeah.
And
dressed me up like a prostitute, a male prostitute, in the streets of Baltimore.
Yeah, and not nice Baltimore.
No, and I got hollered at.
We didn't stay long.
I was thin back then.
Yeah, it was fun.
And my hair was not thinning. So, thin here, not here.
Right. And
hair loss equals a weight gain. That's
science.
There it is. Science.
Don't trust the science, man. Yeah. It's settled.
Science. Just like, the decline in pirates made global warming.
Oh.
Look it up.
I believe it.
Yeah.
We had so much fun, though, making the one that I was directing.
Oh, it was so great.
Because it was you and our friend in his basement. He was the only one we knew at the time, I think, that owned his own house. Because he was
successful and...
He was successful young and owned a house and rented rooms to roommates.
And most of the roommates attended the church.
But we had so much fun at his place. And because we would just hang out with him.
And he works for major video game studios now as a programmer.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he was.
So you can see his name in the credits of games you've played.
Wow. So, yeah, smart dude.
Yeah, super smart.
And really cool.
And wanted to get in that field.
Yeah. But just, it was late trying to get a scene done, like the last one we needed, and it must have taken an hour, but there were so many outtakes.
So many.
And it was Dave the pastor who had been the editor for this one.
Yeah.
And he was dying from the outtakes, so he decided to bleep all of the bad words that were said, because we're 20-something.
20-somethings and not...
I mean, there are still bad words that happen today. We're just we're
better at location and setting.
Yes, and knowing one's audience.
Yeah.
So he took the blooper reel of that and bleeped with all the bleeps and played the bleep after the church was done.
And unbeknownst to him...
Or you, or me.
Or anyone... so it was this church was funded by a larger church organization as a church plant. And the people in charge of the funding visited that Sunday. And it was already in the agenda, and I don't know, no one pulled the plug. So, Cussy Dave and his cussy friend, well, it was all bleeped, but yeah, that was part of the order of worship.
Yeah.
Whew.
I mean... We did nothing wrong.
We did nothing wrong. Now, I will say, as sort of the spoiler alert for where this went for my life is, while, as I mentioned, my wife at the time, or my wife to be, had a boyfriend and I had a girlfriend when we met each other, we were working together on these projects, and I remember working with her editing my video, and the girl I was dating was on a vacation with her family. And I was just hanging out with this girl, and I was like, this girl's cool. Why don't I date cool girls?
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
I did, and I married her.
You did. I mean, I remember you telling me when you were going to see her.
Yeah.
And at the time, Arrested Development was out, and Lock It Down was a very popual phrase for us.
Gotta lock that down.
So that's all I would text you is lock it down.
Yeah.
And you did.
I did.
Good job.
I locked it down within a year.
Well
done. She gave me children, and it's going great. So, good advice.
Yeah.
Locked it down.
Lock it down.
Lock that down. Yep.
Yeah. But it was just it's interesting things that seem like a pit stop in life.
Right.
Change everything.
Yeah. Like this, we attended that church for year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, not long.
And most of the relationships we made there did not last. I still talk to the head pastor. Couple of dudes I still overlap with who live out this way. But I met one young lady.
And I have one story from this era that still stands out as fun for me. And our buddy who went there with us worked at the Caribou Coffee.
Yes.
In a town not far from here. Wow. And we went to meet him there one day, and I think it was actually he ended up taking the role that we had written for specifically for someone else in the last...
And the last thing that fell apart because we were way too ambitious.
Yeah, we made it... We had a strong start and fizzled out.
Oh, gosh,
But this is getting 20-year-olds to volunteer their time, and we're talking hours on multiple weekends.
Right. Instead of pursuing romantic relationships, with other people, hang out with your church buddies, and film a silly movie.
So, we had some great stuff
Yeah.
that just, it never got where we wanted it to go. Neither here nor there. We're meeting there to talk script with a couple other folks. So I'm sitting outside, and I'm with these other guys, and someone comes up behind me and starts noogieing me aggressively. And then when I turn around, he's like, "Oh!"
I forgot about that.
Because I was not who he thought I was. But he knew these other guys, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe he even didn't. But, I mean, I don't care. I'm a Gen Xer. I don't care.
Right.
I'm just laughing.
He's dying of his embarrassment.
Right, because he's mortified.
Yeah.
And it was just the funniest thing. I think he came to apologize again, and I'm just still...
Right.
I'm like,
Still
dude,
dying
it's
laughing.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, but that just still stands out to me. Because if I were that guy, there'd be some nights where I'm falling asleep and I would remember that.
Stranger.
Like, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah.
How did I make it this far in life? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it was a great time. I have
very fond memories. I think I've often referred to it as like my spiritual halfway house. Like it was a place to kind of go and like recover from some of the damage that I experienced in other churches and kind of just almost a reset.
Totally.
Like
absolutely.
I don't feel like I really grew in my personal faith, but I got to heal. Mm-hmm. And I think at that age kind of needed it.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
for sure.
And in that process happened to meet the woman I married.
Yep.
Which can't argue with that. Like, that was the best thing ever. So I guess to put a bow on it for the holy side of the crap. Is that sometimes life may take you a place that doesn't really seem significant at the time. Yeah. And God's got plans.
That he does, and it also brings to mind that line from The Office with Andy. Like, I wish someone would let you know when you're in the good old days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because sometimes those moments are like you said,
fleeting
for healing, for resting and recouping, and then you move on to what you're supposed to do. But
and to the second bow on that is learning video production.
Oh, right.
That became my career.
Yeah.
We've hinted at some of my training and background, but I did video production in the corporate world for to provide for my family for probably come up on 15 or just hit 15 years of marriage. So I probably did video production that I learned from my wife and my buddy the pastor. I did that to provide for my family at least the first 5 years.
It's wild.
Yeah, like
it's crazy.
I don't do it now, but I did it. I mean, that's how we paid our bills for a while.
Yeah, and then you were able to teach me some stuff.
Yeah, and we use a lot of these skills to put our pokey little internet show together. So So again, you just don't know where your journey in life is taking you, but just be open, be receptive, and
life is a highway.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride it all night long.
I hope that's nothing dirty.
That's probably horrible. It's probably about child prostitution.
No.
Everything.
I just like the idea of a nice night drive.
I used to. Now I'm like, the sun's out and I'm behind the wheel. What's happening?
No, I like the idea.
Oh, the idea. Yes. I also like I like lots of ideas that don't involve me doing them.
Doesn't it sound great?
Yeah. Like the idea of going to the gym.
Oh, dude, that sounds awesome.
That sounds great.
Let's go. There's one down the street.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. I guess that wraps it up.
I guess we've done it.
Do we roll the thing and then out?
I guess we do have to kind of roll the outro.
We didn't roll the outro.
Really,
do that.
Do that.
All right. Now we're
out of the outro.
Yes.
So we can roll the closing credits almost immediately.
We can.
But maybe have a couple zingers first.
I don't know that I have a zinger. I mean, I'm full of fluid and really,
I really have to take a slash, as the British would say.
Is that what they call it?
I've heard James May say that, and so he's always correct.
He is, as you would imagine. He has done it properly.
So yeah, have a slap.
Yeah, that's a dog.
The
above
dogs
us.
are moving.
Yep.
So I think it's time to roll credits.
It's time to roll credits.
Thanks, guys.
Later.